Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my YouTube channel and my podcast, Helping Other People Evolve. My mission and vision here with Hope is to help others know that they don't struggle alone. We have all kinds of stories out there of struggles, but so many stories that have gotten to us strength through these stories. Carlecia here is going to share her story with us. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I just want you to know I love your smile. Your smile is just absolutely beautiful. I imagine you light up every room when you walk in, for sure. For sure. So a little backstory of how I know Carlecia, because really this is our first time in many years seeing each other again. I work with her father at the casino. Chris and I have been friends for, coming up on 11 years now. And he shared a little bit of the struggle that Carlecia has went through in the last coming up on 2 years. And he said, I bet she would share her story with you. And I said, oh, that'd be awesome, because I know somebody out there is feeling like they're at home all by themselves, struggling. And at such a young age, the struggle that you've been through, and just to see you being able to get through and navigate through your life. So I guess maybe let's just kind of start out, though. I know that your parents, were they divorced?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So I don't know how old you were when they got divorced. How old were you?
Yeah, I was 12 years old.
Okay. 12. Okay. So, and you're how old now?
I am 24.
24. Geez. 12 years goes by quick, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Think of that. Yeah. So now when your parents got divorced, I know your dad lives here in the Toledo area. Did your mom live here in the Toledo area still then after they got divorced?
No. So most of our family lives in Toledo, but we ended up moving to Kentucky right after. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So did you move to Kentucky with your mom then? Full time?
I did.
Okay. And you still though visited with your dad and things like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I flip-flopped a lot between living with my mom and living with my dad because I couldn't decide.
Yeah. And I can remember, actually, now that we're talking, I can remember some conversations me having with your dad about you and some of the struggles that you were going through as a teenager.
Yes.
And I'm sure that had a lot to do with, all of that going on too. So do you mind sharing a little bit of those struggles with us? I totally forgot about that until just now. I remember your dad talking to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I took the divorce pretty hard. My family and I are very close, especially my parents and I. And at that time, I started going through a lot of like depression and anxiety. I actually attempted suicide a couple of times during that period. And I just remember feeling hopeless. And I know usually with divorce, parents try very hard to, tell their kid that, hey, it's not your fault. And my parents did that. But as a kid, you're kind of like, well, did I do something? Is there anything I could have done? And that kind of stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah. Now, were you the only child?
I was.
Yeah. So I'm sure that laid heavy on you too, like you said, and especially so as a girl, I can relate to this a lot because at that age, 12, 13, we're going through, our body's going through changes, hormonal, emotional, and all of that. And then, like you said, even though your parents are like, listen, Carlecia, it had nothing to do with you. But in our heart, we're like, I know, like that, could I have changed something? Could I have done something different? Could I have kept them together? So did you start like going to some counseling or something then in your teenage years?
Yes, I did. It helped a lot. I never really wanted to express how I was feeling to my parents because, they were going through so much. And as a kid, I saw the struggle. I always had what I needed and then some, and I didn't want to burden my parents with that, So therapy really did help as far as giving me the outlet. But yeah.
Yeah. I talk about that with people a lot because, a lot of people think, and especially, I guess, much older people think this too more. Therapy is like, that means that you're crazy, you're definitely mentally ill and all of this, where honestly, like you just said, what you said is perfect. It's more to release those things to someone that you can talk to. And a lot of times I say this, like someone will call me and we'll have a conversation and they'll tell me all of this stuff. And I might say 4 words and we're ready to hang up. They're like, thank you so much. You helped me so much. And I'm like, okay, really, you shared how you were feeling and you get that off of your chest. And be able to do that with somebody else, is very, very important. And I am a big promoter of counseling, whatever you got to do, to try to get that to somebody that you can talk to, that you can trust and know it's not going to go anywhere. And it's not going to hurt somebody's feelings, right? Like you said, you didn't want to burden your parents anymore. So when did you continue counseling, or did you like stop after a little bit of time?
Yes. So I'm currently still am, right? And one of my last therapists, she said, and this, I love this quote. She said that, you know, when we're sick, we go to the doctor, right? It's not just a one-time thing. We go as often as we need. And that is what therapy is like. You know, it's, you go however many times you need to go.
Yes.
And I think that's very important, because there is that stigma, like you were saying, oh, I go to therapy, I'm a crazy person. No, you need help, and that's okay. So yeah, I still go, and it helps a lot.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, I was just talking to a friend today about this. You know, like we get through a struggle, right? We go to our therapy or whatever we do, we get through that. That doesn't mean that life's going to be rainbows and unicorns after that. Other things are going to happen that we're going to need that again, or continuing. You know, I have friends, and I have male friends, which I think is so important for men to know, that they go to therapy. They go to therapy once a week, and they've been going for years, and they're like, I swear by it. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you can talk to somebody that you can tell your whole life to, and they're not going to judge you, because I feel like that's a big thing too, that people are like, oh, we're getting judged, you know. And so let's see, let's get to maybe 15, 16. You're living with your mom mostly by that time?
Yes.
Okay.
I think at that point, you know, I was still feeling the divorce really hard. And Tiffany at this point is in my life fully, and she's amazing. She's always been, you know, a great addition, a great mom. And my siblings come into the picture, and I've always wanted siblings like this. I feel like they have been a blessing and an answer to my prayers for the longest time. But at this point, I was still in that mode of, did I do this? Like, did I cause my parents to get divorced? What do I do? Life kind of felt like it was falling apart. And my parents, bless their hearts, tried everything, anything that I needed, you know, therapy, medication, whatever it was, they tried their best. But I realized then that it was something that I would fully have to recognize and want to seek help for, you know. And like you said, once you go to therapy, all of a sudden things aren't going to be fixed. There's still a lot of things that you have to do. And being a teenager, I didn't realize that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So you graduated from high school in Kentucky then?
Yes.
Okay. And so I guess let's go to the biggest struggle that you've been through. I mean, that's what we're really here for. I do want to say this real quick, just as she mentioned Tiffany, that is her dad's wife, Tiffany, and they have how many kids together?
Three.
Yeah, 3 kids together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Amazing.
The 2 boys and a girl?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. So I know your dad's always like, I mean, your dad, his kids are the most important in his world. You know, he lights up like you do when he smiles about his kids, you know, it's good. So I guess we're going to go to, what would that be? 2021?
Yes.
Would that be when your mom's accident? Okay. Yeah. So,
yeah. So it was in June. It was a month after I was supposed to graduate the first time, and then I didn't. And I got a call from my godmother that my mom had been in an accident. And I feel like as humans, we have that feeling of no one has to say anything, but we just know. And I asked her, I said, you know, is she okay? And she says, I don't know. And instantly, Tammy, like I knew. And I just felt sick to my stomach. I didn't know what to do. I called my dad, I called my friends, and all of it honestly is still a blur for me. But yeah, we went to the hospital, and they were like, you know, is this your mom? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, she doesn't look like what she normally looks like. She was in a motorcycle accident.
okay.
And I was like, well, what do you mean she doesn't look like what she normally looks like? And they took me back there, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
Oh, Did you
Yeah.
go back there by yourself?
No, thankfully, pretty much all of my family came. My dad, Tiff, the kids, my
Okay, good.
grandparents, everyone was there.
Okay, good.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh, what is terrible. Now, yeah, did that happen? That happened in Kentucky then?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I guess, that's, I can kind of relate to the death of a parent because I lost my dad when I was 13. He actually drowned in our bathtub. He was an alcoholic and addict, and my mom found him and I found him. So that part of it I can relate to, but I can't at all relate to the fact of, I mean, really, you lived with your mom, right? She was, here you are now trying to figure out how are you going to navigate life and stay in school in Kentucky with having to go through this, right? And here you are navigating through life, and
Yes.
smiling, you know what I mean? Like as much as you can. Now, I always say on my podcast to people because, everybody's different in their beliefs, and my belief is in God.
Yes.
100%. He saved me from my addictions and everything like that. But I always tell people, whatever it is you believe, you believe.
Mhm.
Now, I know that your dad is a big believer in God, and
Yes.
you look like you are too, because your face is lighting
Yes.
up every time I say God. You like smile big. So,
Yes.
do you think that your faith, helped you to get through all of this?
Oh, absolutely. I don't even like to think about where I would be without my faith.
Mm.
I know 100% that God has carried me and my family through all of this. Yeah, I can't fathom how I would have gone through it without God.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the way that I feel too about anything I go through. I'm so blessed to be able to be like, yes, and people are like, well, he doesn't answer you. Yeah, he does. Like
Yes.
I can have
Yes.
conversations and I get answers. They're not be always the answers I
Yep.
want, but I'm going to get the answers. And I think
Yes.
that's truly important. And
Mhm.
I think like, okay, so somebody might look and be like, well, look at Carlecia. Is she really, and I'm not saying this, but is
Right.
she really grieving? Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
everybody looks at grief, and I kind of want to talk about this a lot because it's been coming up a lot in subjects and conversations. Like, how are you supposed to grieve? You know what I mean? And I like to tell people, nobody ever tells you how to grieve. I look at you and I know I can only imagine from what I've lost in my life. I lost a son to SIDS when he was 6 months old. And I also lost my bonus son in a car accident in 2012, right before we started at the casino. And I always say, we still have to go on through life. But that hole is always there. Like that little piece of our heart is always there. So, for you, how do you, I mean, you say you're in a counseling still, so that's probably
Mhm.
helping you a lot. How have
Yes.
you dealt with, because you said you dealt with some depression when you were a teenager. Does that ever sink in again, that depression? Do you have to have that conversation with yourself where you have to be like, Carlecia, stop?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All the time,
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
especially now. Um, because like you said, that hole is there, and with your parents, no one can ever replace that or fill that,
Right.
and both of my parents are a huge part of who I am.
Mhm.
Um, and there are many days still, even with therapy, and sometimes, I'll hit the ground praying, asking God to show me what I need to do, what He wants me to do. And sometimes even that takes a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll see something, that my mom used to buy, and I'll panic for a little bit. I'll cry. Sometimes I can make it through, sometimes I can't. But I think right now, the lesson that I'm learning a lot is gentleness with myself,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
and the fact that there is no right or wrong way to grieve.
Yes.
So you gotta take it one day at a time, honestly.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about giving yourself kindness
Mhm.
and allowing yourself grace. I talk about that a lot too. You got to give yourself grace because what you're going, I mean, I always, you're not even at 2 years yet since you lost your mom, and that's still so fresh. But honestly, so my son, it'll be 30 years. It was in December. And, some years are okay. And some days are okay. And other days, I'm like what you just said, I'm a hot mess and I can't even function. I mean,
Yes.
I am going to I'm turning on whatever I can to listen to make me happier, because it's hard. And I always want people to know, I say to people, if you don't know about that grief, I'm so thankful for you, because nobody ever wants to know that grief, because it can be traumatizing. And fortunately, with faith, you're able to at least get going with life. People that don't have faith, it's a suffering completely, continuously, and they just don't know how to navigate at all. So I think, when I talk about things that happen in our lives and things like that, so that process of you going to counseling at such a young age set you up to know what you needed to do through this trauma, So, yeah. Now, what are you going to school for?
Yeah, I am in my undergrad for forensic psychology.
Wow. Forensic psychology.
Yes, ma'am.
It's gonna be tough.
It's something.
Is that what you started in school to do too?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that's been your dream all along, huh?
Yes. My long-term goal is to do therapy.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So therapy in forensic psychology,
Mhm.
what kind of therapy would that be?
Yeah, so specifically with forensic, they get more into like psychology and law, working with, juveniles and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. That's good for you. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's my passion in my heart is juveniles.
Mhm.
And also, I'm not sure why it is, but men's mental health. I just really am
Yes.
really focused on that, because I know, and I don't like to call out cultures or anything like that, but in your culture,
Yes.
um, men don't talk about their problems.
Not
They're
at
not
all.
supposed to. I know a lot of men will say the same thing. White men too will be like, yeah, neither are we. It's different. It's so different just from the interviews I've done and stuff. So it's cool that your passion is for teenagers, because you went through the struggles, and if you can help someone, and that's why I do what I do here, just to hear the stories and know that yeah, you've been through a horrible tragedy, and then to be able to navigate, and now you have family that lives close to you down there too.
I do. My aunt, she lives about an hour away.
Okay. And that's your mom's sister?
That's my dad's sister,
Oh, your
actually.
dad's sister.
Yes,
Okay. Now, did your mom have any siblings?
she does. So pretty much all of our family lives in Toledo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Are you
Yeah.
close with your family there too then?
I am now. It's
Yeah.
it's it's getting more. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but it's good that you have your dad's sister down there with you too.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so that's awesome. I guess, I appreciate you getting on here. Like I said, we didn't talk before this. Your dad had told me what had happened. Like right when I got back to work at the casino, he told me, and my heart just crushed for you and for him too, because, I know your dad's heart. I know
Yes.
who he is. And, just because your parents got divorced doesn't mean that love wasn't there. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? I
Yes.
know that, and I'm sure that his heart was crushed for him, but for you, because he knows. And he, I'm just gonna tell you, he talks about you all the time. He worries about you all the time.
Yeah.
The other day he was he had his do not disturb on his phone somehow, and he didn't know how, and he was trying to get a hold of you, and he's like, this do not disturb, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, Chris, calm down. Let's
Yes.
fix your phone. He's like, but if she needs me, I said, it's okay. We'll fix your phone. So,
Yes.
I know that you have so much support out there and love. And I just want you to know this, Carlecia, if you ever need to reach out and just talk to someone, I'm here. Now we have each other's phone numbers, and
Yes.
I'm always a good listener if that's what you need or something like that. Okay. Just so you know,
Thank
and
you.
I will always throw up extra prayers for you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate you so much getting on here with us. Is there any words that you want to tell anybody?
Yeah. Honestly, for those especially with faith and those especially without, everything happens for a reason, like you said, and God is always there in every situation, no matter how traumatic, no matter how dark the hole that you're in is, and I really just want people to understand that, you know, you're never alone. Even in the most world crumbling situations, you are not alone, and God is always there.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you jumping on here. Now, real quick before we hang up,
Yeah,
when do you graduate?
I graduate this semester
Oh,
in
this
May.
semester. How
Yes,
exciting.
yes.
Awesome. Now, do you have any like future jobs lined up or anything like that yet? Or
Not yet. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go straight to grad school.
oh, okay, good.
Yes.
Good for you. That's awesome. Awesome. I can't wait. I always tell my guests, I'll have you on here again, like in 6 months to a year, see where you're at and see how things
Yes.
are going. And I'm super excited for you. And what a
Thank you.
blessing you are, just so you know, you're truly a blessing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlecia. Well, thank you everybody for jumping on Hope. Remember, your struggles are going to happen. I know that, but you can get to a strength no matter what. When you hear Carlecia's story and what she said about God, whatever your faith is, whatever you believe in, you have to trust that and have faith that you can get through it. We're living proof that we can get through anything. And I promise you, just stay strong, keep your faith, and you will be able to get through anything. You guys all have an amazing day. Thank you so much for getting on Hope.